All right, so I decided to be a little inventive on this and add a little bit extra detail in order to kind of make it look pretty cool. So on the bottom of the kit, you have these little landing lights. Those little sections there with the holes through them. And you have 4 on the front, 1 on the back there by my damaged area, and then on the other side. So in the actual ship, if you can see there, they light up when they're landing. They all light up and they shine down when the kit is descending. And in addition, I also talked about doing the front lights on the mandibles, that little hole there, right there. So what I want to do is I'm going to drill this out as well on both of these. I have to take these apart and wire in an SMD, and I'm going to put those on a separate circuit so I can have the sorry about that. I'm going to have still the back grill, the gunner stations, the cockpit, and then on one circuit. On the second circuit, I'm going to just put some very small SMDs right in all these spots. Some of these are tricky because they're either really close to the kit part or inside of it, like that one there. I'm going to have to cut out a section of this and put the SMD inside of it, and then maybe sand down the part that clicks inside of it so it doesn't affect the SMD. All the other ones are pretty straightforward, so nothing super fancy. I'm just going to put those on there. I will black mask behind it so the light doesn't come through, and then on the actual part on the top, I'm going to put a little bit of 5-minute epoxy on there and let it dry, so I'll get a bit of a lens, and keeping in touch with the weathering of the kit. Some of these may look kind of oddly lit and that kind of thing, which is fine, because once again, this is a ship that's been beat and used and abandoned and refound and so on. So there's going to be some issues. So I'm going to go ahead and do those because they're not that difficult, other than drilling those out and then putting in some more LEDs. That'll be fine, and that'll be kind of cool. So let me go ahead and get those worked on as well and see what I can come up with there. All right, so I got the holes all drilled out, and I have them kind of beveled in a bit so I can put the SMDs in there. A little bit of thing there, okay. And they should work out fine. They're a little tricky in some positions, but I can get a very tiny little nano LED with some magnet wire in there, no problem at all. I also did some chipping on the bottom, as you can see. Right there. And I'll show you that technique here in a moment that I found on other YouTubers using, where I just use like a tiny bit of part of a sponge or a scratch pad to go in and apply some of the base coat so it looks like it's chipped away, and I'll augment those a bit with some darker German gray as well in some spots to look like it's a deeper gouge out of it. So I'm not actually chipping the stickers off, but I'm making it look like they are chipped off, so that looks pretty cool. Alright, so then I took apart one of the front mandibles, and I want to try to light up that teeny little light right there. So I'm going to have to do quite a bit of gouging out if I want to make that happen, because there's a lot of plastic in place of it. So we'll see. I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'll probably have to take off this inner part for sure. See if there's a hollow enough place to get something through there. Putting a light in there is not a problem, but I would just want to wire it all the way back through into the kit, and I don't want to make it too crazy, so let me take that apart and see if that's even feasible. Alright, so it's not as bad as I thought. when that side piece comes out, there's a whole place there that I can wire through, and there's the opening there, and it will come out to that little hole right there. Alright, so I am going to try to do that. I'll just have to make sure there's a channel through this piece here. Probably just wire it right through these sections, just gouge a groove out of there and bring it straight through so I can wire it. So that should work, so that I'll have the bottom lights, the landing lights, along with these front headlights that light up, and they'll be in a separate circuit and have those lit up. All right. And here's the wired landing lights in the bottom of the ship here. All those little sections there with the holes through. And you can see right there, I used some 5-minute epoxy, and I just stuck it, dabbed it on the inside, and it came through the opening. You can see it shining there. Made like a little lens for it. It's kind of cool. And they're a little uneven, which is neat. Some of them look correct, some are a little too large. You can see right there. I may dull those down a bit with some flat coat, but we'll see. So I have it all wired up. There's one right there. And I'm just waiting for the last of the 5-minute epoxy to dry on each of these inside of it. And I'll get them all wired together. They'll be on one circuit. I used different lights for two reasons. One, because the ship is beat up. It's old. It's had a lot of parts replaced. You can see there, obviously, there's a red landing light. So they just went to junkyards and took parts off of other ships and just cannibalized it and did what they needed to make it work. So some of them are dimmer, and I even have one that's red with the red one there, and I have like an orange and a couple of yellow. The one back here that's damaged, I made that one of the yellow ones, and it's a little dimmer, which would be normal because that got beat up a bit when they blasted these gouges out of the back of the ship. So I'll get these all wired together, and I'll light them up, and we'll see what we look like. All right, so I just did a crude wiring here. I'll get them wrapped up inside before I finish up the final wiring. Put a little battery, coin battery, and a switch on it. The last segment I said that there were two reasons why I chose to do different color lights, and I do like the fact that they're different colors, and that's pretty cool, but I didn't have enough of the right colors, and I need to order some more, but I didn't want to wait for that. So I thought, well, I have these other colors, let me see if those would work, and I actually like them. It's kind of cool. I like that they're different colors. As I said before, it adds to the rest of the ship that there's different panels of different colors that don't match up. So it would make sense that maybe this little red landing light unit that they took off another ship had a red light in it. Maybe it matched up with that ship that was red, who knows. So you imagine there's other Millennium Falcon type ships out there that we don't ever see, that this isn't a unique one of a kind. Just like there's plenty of X-Wing fighters and TIE fighters and snow speeders and whatever. So all right, so I have it all wired together. Let me go ahead and turn that on, and I'll show you what that looks like. And it turned out pretty cool. All right, so there's on the inside, you can see, and I have to do a little more masking around some sections to keep the light leaks, but here's how that's going to look. Put that over here in the darkened area. So that turned out pretty cool. You can see several of the lights. Most of the lights are pretty bright. As I said, I have some like this one here that's dimmer and it's yellow, but it goes with the with this particular section where it's all burnt out, and that light probably got messed up a bit from some blast. There's a nice bright one. There's some more bright ones there. There's a little too bright, a little off. That's the warm white versus the cool white. That doesn't show up as well on the camera, but that's red. That's actually a really cool looking red light. There's like a yellow right there, some more whites. There's an orange. You can make out that that's kind of orange, but it really goes well together, I think. And they're nice and bright, so even when the light hits the kit normally to see the rest of it, they shine out really well. So that turned out really good. I like that a lot, and that's really going to add to the kit. And I'll have a separate switch for these just to turn these on when I want to put it in landing mode. And some of them I might want to, there's a better shot too. Some of these I might want to weather a bit as well, so we'll see. But that turned out really good. That's kind of cool. I really like that. Alright, let me see, you can see a little more of that red right there. That actually is red. It kind of washes out on the camera, but it's pretty cool. It's a nice little red light that matches that little section. Alright, let me see what I can come up with for the front headlights, for the front mandibles, and we'll have this lighting part finished up. So here's the LED glued into the end of this headlight piece here. Goes into the front mandible here. Right now I'm letting that black paint dry on there to mask it off, the light. Come on, light up. There we go. Okay. And it'll shine through this hole in the front. I started to put a little bit of 5-minute epoxy into that hole, but I had painted it and it still hadn't dried yet, so it started gooping it up, so I left that alone. Once that completely dries, I'll put some more 5-minute epoxy in there and give it a little bit of a lens in the front like I did on the landing lights. So let me put the battery on and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so there you go. And this battery is a little bit weak, so that'll actually be brighter once I get the fresh battery, but you can kind of see the idea there. That looks pretty cool. There we go, shining through there. Alright, and I have it masked off pretty well, so once it's inside it won't really leak any light through. Focus. Alright, so let me get that in place and I'll show you what it'll look like on the actual piece. So here is the completed mandible. There's the light on the front of it. Pretty cool. Did a good job of masking it. Focus on there. Got a little bit of black on the outside there, but nothing major. I'd probably be weathering that anyway, so come on, light up. There we go. Alright, so pretty cool. And then the wire comes out of the back here, so it'll come into the kit in the front where these other wires are, and it'll be connected in with the landing lights. Alright, so I just have to do the other side, and those lights will all be completed. Getting ready to trim down all this wiring. I just initially connected it together to test it out, and it works fine. It'll be trimmed down and they'll be compact and inside this bottom base, so they'll be completed up. What I want to do is I have a from the same company that makes these little LEDs. They sell a remote control, which is kind of cool. Here's the little unit. It's pretty basic. It's got this part. The wires come into it, and then they go out to your power source, and then you have this little sensor, and it turns the lights on and off. So pretty straightforward. Let me show you how that works. Over here, and it works really well because as long as you're in a reasonable line of sight with it, it's going to work. It doesn't have to be right on it. So there it is right there. And it comes with a little remote control, which is cool. It's battery operated. So I can turn it on. There you go. Pretty neat. And it has a dimming feature, which I don't see me using very often, but it certainly would have applications on certain things. But I like the idea that I can turn it off, turn it on remotely. So what I'll do is I already have this section here removed with the detail. So I'm looking for a place in here, maybe down in there, or one of these sections down in here, an open part that I can drill through the back and just have that sticking through. It's I don't have to have the whole section, but mainly just this part of it here, and I can probably paint it and even highlight it with some metals and have it masked off. So it'll be down in here. So when I want to turn it on, obviously the bottom of the ship, I'll just point it towards here, and it will turn the whole section. And I have the one mandible done with the headlight, and I'm working on the second one. Let's see, I have the come on, focus. Yeah, I have this this other one drilled out, and I have it black masked. Once that dries, I'm going to put a little bit of aluminum in there to highlight it a bit. And I already have these parts hollowed out for the wiring to come through. Why are you not focusing today? Through there, come down through here, come all through the back, just like I did the other one. And I'll get that wired as well, get that going, and then I'll get those attached onto here. The right side I may need to glue in a little bit because I had to drill out, cut down some of the bottom snap-in part because I have lights in them. The right part is fine, but we'll see. Once I get it together, there's enough of a catch. It may just be okay once I snap the top on, but once I get these wires all trimmed down, they're all going to be wired towards this little section right here, and then this the remote part, I'll probably have it glued into right here or over here, have it attached, and get all those wires nice and trimmed, closely glued into the bottom of the kit. So when I'm done, it'll be all set up. The battery for it, where is that now? Right here. Nope. Where'd it go? All right, well, it's around here somewhere. Where'd you go, battery? Hanging down from the bottom. There we go. So the battery itself will be probably velcroed to the bottom of this removable section. I'm going to have two batteries, one for the bottom lights, one for the rest of them, the back of the engine grill, the gunner stations, and the cockpit. Will be on one circuit, and this will be in a second. But eventually I'll just have these velcroed onto the bottom of this, so if I remove that section, I can replace them easily enough. So let me get working on that and try to get that all completed. All right, so there's one more test before I get these wires all chopped up. I drilled out a little section in that detailed part, as I said, and there's that black wire there is the remote sensor in the bottom, and it works pretty well. Like I said, it doesn't have to be completely exposed, so it's really hard to see it. Let's see if I can get a shine off of it, but right, let me show you real close where this pipe curves in, right in that little section. Close up here. Sorry for the close detail, but it's right down behind this pipe. It's underneath, so it's obscured, so you don't see it very well. But as far as the sensor is concerned, works just fine. Yeah, you can see I'm not even getting close to it. I mean, I'm like way over here, and it gets it. So that's the beauty of it. I could be like over here. Could be way over here. It's really good. I mean, this thing puts out a pretty wide signal band, I would imagine. It just has to hit that sensor somewhere. So it's not affecting at all that it's behind these plastic pipes there. So it'll work out just great. There we go. So that'll be beautiful. So now that I've tested that there and it's working fine, and the wires are a little bit loose, I know I can go ahead and get this glued into place, get the sensor glued into here, get this adhered permanently, and then just trim down all these excess wires and get them into the end of this. So, all right, great. Let me get that going. All right, so I have all the wiring done underneath. It's all connected to the remote sensor, and I have it upside down for now. So let me show you how that's going to look. All right, got the front headlamps. We got all the landing lights lit up. Everything's all wired together. Let me turn off my light here, and I'll show you. Oops, sorry. There we go. Alright, so much better. There we go. Turn it off again. Alright. There we go. Pretty cool. Yep. Focus, focus. Come on. Why is this giving me so much trouble today? There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So pretty cool. As I said, I have it inside the little detail area. So the sensor, I just point it to it, turns it off, and it has a pretty wide range. So it's pretty cool. And I have the front headlights. In the mandibles, I have all the different colored landing lights on the bottom, so that turned out really well. Alright, so I just have to do a little more gluing of the wiring inside, but it's all trimmed down and wired, so it's a lot more compact. So, alright, fantastic. Okay, so I started working on the lights for the back grille, and to set up all four of them, I used the little pegs that they give you, and I just sorry, I got them all wired together. I glued them inside, sticking out of the back of these, so they go into these pegs right here. And then to kind of channel and make a little bit of a light box, I cut out some black styrene, drilled some holes through that would match up with this center peg and these little pegs where these go. So these just go right into these right here. All right, and there's two of them. So there's four of them all together, and they will be angled to light up this back grille. And this little light box will be a focuser for the light, and then this one will go on top. And I'm going to glue them inside the lip of this back piece, so they'll be permanent in there once I get them all ready to go and wired up. So we work on that a little bit more, and then I'll get these wired in and kind of give you an idea of what that's going to look like. All right, so I'm just kind of holding the battery there, but I have that top piece on there as well, and that's kind of how that's going to look. I'm going to have the grill work over top of it as well. That's going to look pretty cool. They're not quite positioned yet, but that's going to look pretty neat. Alright. Alright, and then there's with the engine grill. Looks pretty cool. Like I said, they're not completely positioned exactly where they should be right now. And I'm going to put some sides on there as well to close it in as well as I can. Make sure that it's nicely masked off. And once I get it glued into place, I'll seal around those top parts as well, so it won't shine through on the inside of the kit. But there we go. So that's how that's going to look. It's going to be pretty cool.